A single coded message, "Swan moves at dawn," flickers across the secure royal intranet, summoning the palace's crisis team to the Privy Council chamber. By 3 o'clock the panelled room is full, footmen dusting sleep from their uniforms, military aides clamping encrypted phones to their ears, and one senior courtier clutching a slim dossier stamped top secret, Balmoral minutes. No one speaks above a hushed murmur. Chandeliers tremble as the night storm wind rattles against diamond-paned windows. Those few words, insiders say, confirm the unimaginable. A constitutional aftershock is coming, engineered by King Charles III himself, and it centers on Katherine, Princess of Wales. Until 48 hours ago, the late summer summit at Balmoral Castle was meant to be routine, an annual conclave where diaries are aligned, Commonwealth tours penciled in, and the royal family squeeze in a final stalk across the heather before autumn duty descends. Instead it became the venue for the most electrifying revelation since Edward VIII threw the crown to the winds for Wallis Simpson. The deliverer. Princess Anne, that flinty, no-nonsense stalwart whom palace staff call the family's firewall. Witnesses describe the scene, the drawing room's staghorn chandeliers aglow, rain lashing the leaded windows, the king resting in an armchair after a grueling cancer treatment cycle. Anne rises, a sheaf of handwritten pages in her gloved hand, notes, she says, dictated by Charles during a restless night when the prospect of his mortality pressed in. Our father, she begins, has framed a final contingency wish. Should the unexpected befall, Katherine, not William, is to steady the crown as sovereign in her own right until Parliament decides otherwise. Gasps, then silence. Queen Camilla freezes mid-sip of lapsang. Prince William sets down his pen, so sharply it leaves a hairline crack in the writing desk. Across the hearth, a footman nearly drops a silver tray. Within minutes, the castle's secure landlines are blinking red, calling London, Ottawa, Canberra, and an emergency courier is dispatched to Holyrood House with sealed packets for the First Minister. The news detonates far beyond royal walls. By dawn, every Fleet Street editor has torn up front pages. Satellite vans clog the mall. American networks run breathless. Round-the-clock tickers. Is Kate destined to rule? For the first time since the Queen's funeral, Queen Katherine trends worldwide, followed closely by King Consort William, Camilla out, and a surge of constitutional what-if threads that crash 2 academic websites by breakfast. Courtiers insist this is not a palace coup, but a father's foresight. Charles, 76 and 3 rounds into intensive immunotherapy, has digested sobering actuarial tables. He knows a sudden health crisis could paralyze the monarchy, just as the UK faces stagflation, fractious devolution talk, and restive Commonwealth realms. Continuity, he is said to have told Anne, must carry a human face the public already trusts implicitly. Polling backs him. A confidential Ipsos briefing handed to the monarch this summer showed Katherine, with an 83% favorability across all age groups, dwarfing every other Windsor by double digits. Crucially, among 18 to 24s, the demographic most indifferent to monarchy, her net positivity is plus 41, higher than any UK politician in a decade. She's the dynasty's last bulletproof vest, a veteran palace aide admits. If Katherine can't steady the ship, we may be heading for a republic referendum within a generation. Then there is William's burden. Since his mother's death, he has straddled 2 eras. The Instagram age demanding candor, and the grey-suit courtiers demanding mystique. King Charles reportedly fears his son could be trapped between accelerator and brake, pushing modernization yet tethered to centuries of precedent. Katherine, by contrast, is seen as the great synthesizer, traditional enough to wear the lover's knot tiara with gravity, modern enough to kneel on nursery floors discussing postpartum depression. Inside Kensington Palace, friends say Katherine was stunned, but not undone. She withdrew to Adelaide Cottage, rising at first light to walk the long water with only a Scotland Yard shadow for company. Those who passed her noticed AirPods in, posture straight, pace almost military. It was the stride of someone absorbing battlefield orders, one eyewitness tells us. The Queen Consort's inner circle is livid, privately calling the move a rerun of Diana's Ghost. Camilla spent 3 steely decades, clawing her reputation, from tabloid villain to accepted consort. Now the prospect of being outranked by a daughter-in-law threatens to relegate her to ceremonial obscurity. Within hours of the Balmoral leak, her private secretary was on the phone to tax experts. How would a Queen Katherine affect the Duchy of Cornwall revenues Camilla's charities rely on? Would clothing patronages vanish overnight? What of the Queen's Reading Room project, weeks from announcing a US expansion? One court insider reports Camilla telling a confidant, "If survival is the game, I've played longer than any of them." Translation: expect behind-the-scenes lobbying in Parliament, where Charles's wish would ultimately require statutory blessing. Already 2 veteran peers in the Lords, both Camilla allies, are drafting white papers warning of destabilizing constitutional tinkering in an era of geopolitical flux. Observers predicted rage, but those close to William speak of something quieter, and more unnerving, existential recalculation. Ever since boyhood he has rehearsed one destiny: I will one day be king. Every school assembly, every RAF sortie, every red box from Downing Street has reinforced that neural pathway. To pivot now, voluntarily or not, into a prince consort role would upend 3 decades of psychological architecture. Sources say he spent the night following Anne's bombshell closeted with Catherine's private secretary and his own chief of staff, mapping scenarios. The next morning he attended a youth mental health roundtable in Nottingham, joking with teenagers about football scores, yet eagle-eyed body language analysts noted an unconscious tug at his cufflinks, a telltale sign of stress he displayed only once before, on the eve of his wedding. What might persuade William to acquiesce? 2 words: national survival. Insiders claim the heir privately fears an Australian Republic vote within 5 years, a Caribbean wave behind it, and Scottish independence talk rekindling after the next general election. If Catherine's ascension could buy the crown a generation of goodwill, William might swallow pride for posterity, so long as he retains regency powers for Prince George and a veto on major state papers. Across the Atlantic, Montecito woke to 300 missed calls. Prince Harry, his memoir Spare barely off the bestseller list, is said to have learned of the potential Queen Katherine via a push alert from the Washington Post. Meghan reportedly gasped, "They'll crown Kate before George is even shaving." Within hours a Hollywood PR firm, previously used by the couple, was fielding bids from 3 streaming giants for an exclusive reaction documentary. Netflix, stung by falling subscriber numbers, is rumored to be dangling an 8-figure sum if the Sussexes agree to sit-down reflections on modern monarchy. Palace lawyers are already drafting injunction language should any confidential Balmoral details leak on camera. Yet friends of Harry say the Duke, far from scheming, lapsed into somber silence. He has long argued the monarchy must confront emotional truth to survive. Katherine, with her mental health advocacy, might embody that ideal more than any Windsor alive. The irony, a Montecito neighbor notes, is that Harry could find himself cheering the very institution he once criticized, if Kate's rule proves his point about compassionate leadership. A chessboard of next moves. Constitutionally, the road is daunting. First, the king would need to issue formal letters patent requesting Parliament debate a bespoke succession statute. The Commons could fast-track such a bill in days, if the government of the day judged public appetite in favour. The Lords, more traditional, may demand exhaustive scrutiny, citing global ramifications. Simultaneously, 15 Commonwealth realms would need to ratify matching changes, each through its own legislature, from Canada's bilingual Senate to Papua New Guinea's unicameral House. Timeframe. Crisis planners at the Cabinet Office have modelled 3 windows. Amber Wave King's condition stable, but unpredictable, bill drafted in secret, ready to drop, should news turn. Katherine gradually elevated in public ceremony to test optics. Crimson wave, sudden medical decline. 48-hour recall of Parliament. Pre-recorded broadcast by Charles naming Katherine, William confirmed as Hobart Regency until law finalized. Jubilee wave treatment successful. Contingency shelved, but not shredded, to be revisited in 5 years, coinciding with Charles's 80th birthday review. Financial markets are already hedging. Sterling rose 0.1% on speculation Katherine could boost tourism. UK gilt yields nudged up amid uncertainty. Coutts and Company advisors quietly briefed ultra-high net worth clients on liquidity strategies in the event of accession volatility. Katherine steps forward. 2 days after the Balmoral shock, Katherine appears at a children's hospice in Surrey. Cameras capture her bending to a 6-year-old in a wheelchair, listening intently, brushing hair from the child's eyes, not a tiara in sight, just a simple navy coat. Her closing remarks, scripted yet chillingly apt. Sometimes life hands us duties we never expected. What matters is how we turn duty into service, fear into hope. Commentators call it the speech she never realized might double as a preview of a reign. Back at Buckingham Palace, cleaners prepare the picture gallery for an emergency Privy Council, silver frames polished, quills laid ready. One clipboard bears a new seating plan: Kensington throne chair, left, Cornwall throne chair, right. The order book for court jewellers Gerard shows a discreet notation beside the lover's knot, a just coronet arc, slender fit. Whether those preparations ever translate into a crown placed on Katherine's head remains uncertain. But one fact is incontrovertible: the genie is out, the script unrolled. Every handshake Katherine offers, every cough Charles stifles, every half-smile William manages will now be read through the lens of succession upheaval. We will track every whisper, document every maneuver, and verify every leak as Britain's most ancient institution edges toward a decision that could rewrite its very DNA. Will Charles's vision prevail? Will William set aside birthright for dynasty? Will Katherine embrace a throne she never sought? Or will the entire plan fracture under the weight of centuries? Stay tuned. The next heartbeat out of Buckingham Palace could change the crown forever. 1/2